So I think the most important thing for the number side of thing is to actually get a baseline for what your system is. This is going to be a really zoomed out approach, just kind of in general, rather than specifically for like my game or anything like that. But you're going to kind of want to figure out what your minimums and maximums are so that you can work within those ranges. So for example, in Hero, I use an 8-sided die to track everyone's level that automatically goes up every round at the table. So I know that the level ranges go from 1 to 8. At 8, people get their ultimates. That's when the game is going to quickly close out and reach its conclusion. So I know that that's the upper range of how strong things should be, and people stop leveling at that point, and things can't go lower than 1. There are zeros, but heroes are never level 0, and, whatever. And then as far as mana costs go, the lowest mana on a hero starting off is 3. And since you gain mana at odd intervals in the level system, I knew I wanted there to be like a smooth amount of mana. So I don't want people to start at 0. I started them at 3 so they would have some things to do at the start of the game. So I balanced my spells around that system. And then from there, you're kind of figuring out what maybe the damage or stat numbers are for your different ranges. So for example, you can figure out that a weak spell would do 1 or 2 damage, a medium spell would do 3 or 4, and a strong spell would do like 6 or 8 or something around that range. Figuring out the cost associated with that feels balanced for your game, and then using that baseline that you developed as something you can keep track of in a spreadsheet or whatever it is, or just like a math system you keep track of in your head. You decide, okay, these are my numbers for how much should drawing a card cost, how much should every point of damage cost in mana, how much should healing cost, etc., etc. And then you use that to kind of build yourself a system over time. They can use as a framework when you're designing future cards to be like, okay, based on cards I've built in the past, I want this to be in a similar balance or power level, so I want it to do a similar fairness amount of damage based on how much you're spending for it. That's kind of a really vague, I didn't want to get too nitty-gritty into what I do for Hero, but just in general, how I kind of go about balancing the different numbers in the game. A lot of it, though, will be a little bit vibes or feeling. You're going to kind of play it out and see what feels right for your game, what cards feel more powerful or feel more fair, and you'll use that to build everything out. And let me know if this is interesting. I could get a lot more nitty-gritty with the different numbers and systems I use for the different ranges in Hero. So if that's interesting, let me know, and I can make a more detailed video on that.